Hello, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Happy to have Vince back on the channel today. He builds out custom cargo trailer camper conversions, and he's going to give us a tour of his newest creation today. So join us.
I've been busy over the winter building this Forest River 6x10 cargo trailer into a off-grid camper. It's 6x10 with a V-nose, so you get a little extra. Over 6 feet headroom, and I do it because basically I like building things. I do restorations on boats. I do cabinetry. As in my past life before I was retired, I also did a lot of kitchen work, a lot of custom cabinets. So it's all part of what I've been doing all along. I did my first van conversion when I was 22 years old, which was a couple days ago, and been loving it since. Now that I'm retired, I want to go camping, so this is what I'm doing. It's a aluminum skinned, steel framed. The sidewalls are all done on 16-inch centers. The roof is done on 24-inch centers, but it's also a 1x2 tubular steel, bent with a crown, and a one-piece roof. The only place there's any holes in it is where I put the vent. I have an 8-foot by 8-foot awning on top that's on custom brackets that I weld myself. And they're attached through the side, not through the roof again, so there's less chance of anything leaking. So I have 2 windows in it. They're 15 by 30s with screens. Unfortunately, when you put these in, you have to cut some structure, but I weld back in frames, and it's actually stronger than it was when it started. I build everything like I was going to keep it forever. I have 4 lights, 1 on each side. They're sun-powered motion lights. They'll come on at night. So if you're at the campsite and a light comes on, make sure you know what's outside first. Over here I have an extra port for the solar. That's for future. And here I have shore power going to a trickle charger inside, so you can keep your batteries charged all winter if you had a cover on it or was under a carport. The trailer is insulated, all sides. This is the regular vinyl floor that you see from any of the big box stores. Underneath it is 1-inch foam insulation. The walls also have 1-inch foam. And because of the 1x2s in the ceiling, that's 1.5-inch foam. Up front you have the V-nose, which is kind of like a bonus on these trailers, because when they sell them, they give you the 6x10, which is the box size. So these have a 16-inch V. I do all my own cabinetry, doors. They're set up so that anybody can come in here now and put their racks in for dishes or leave them just for bulk storage. Lights underneath so you can see what you're doing, because we have charging ports and a 110 outlet here. So this is a great place to do your computers, your phones, your cameras. Above me is a 14-inch by 14-inch fan with remote control. It's got a screen. On slow speeds, it's dead quiet, so at night you're sleeping, you don't have to worry about getting woken up by some rumbling from the fan. It also has a rain sensor, so if in the middle of the night a thunderstorm comes through, it'll close itself and shut itself off. Below the shelf here, more storage. I have one of the sub panels for the electric that takes care of everything in the nose. Again, I left the storage as bulk storage, so you could outfit it yourself or leave it as is. Up here is the controller for the Chinese diesel heater, which works great. Left it at the head of the bed so you don't have to get up at night to change any settings on it. And we have our seating area, which also goes into a bed. I have it set up now as a single because I'm going camping after this, and that's all I really need. When it's set up as a double, it pulls out as everything falls in, and the double mattress would fold down and make a full-size bed. As you can see in the back here, are your tanks, 25 gallons fresh water, 15 gallons wastewater from the sink, and next to that is the diesel heater. The diesel heater, because I hate the smell of diesel, diesel never enters the trailer. The diesel tank is mounted on the outside in a separate box. It goes underneath the trailer directly up into the diesel heater to be burned. It never comes into the trailer. There's also storage underneath. Somewhat limited, but there is storage because the vent goes for the heater. The water tank, as I said, is 25 gallons fresh water. The waste tank is 15 gallons for gray water. It also has a bypass, so you can, if you're in your yard or someplace where it doesn't matter, you can just let it run onto the ground because it's basically fresh water. And on this side, we have more of the same. You have the vent pipe for the diesel heater, and behind it is the freshwater tank. All the framing for all the cabinets is all poplar. It's harder, takes a screw better, and it's lighter than pine. It'll last a long time. And everything is screwed and glued so that it doesn't pull apart. These trailers are dynamic, they move all the time. So you have to build it so it can do that and not break things. I have 1.5 inches of foam underneath this ceiling. This middle piece is a wire chase that the upper lights go to, and then back down to our electronic control center. This is a 40-watt MPPT solar charger, which takes care of the 320 watts of solar on the roof. Comes down to this and then directly to the batteries, like it should. From the batteries, I also have a 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, which protects your delicate electronics like phones, computers, cameras. But it'll also run a router or an angle grinder or a drill if you need to. Everything is done through main circuit breakers for each different setup, and then each line is fused either here or at the two sub panels. The batteries are 3 100 amp hour AGM sealed lead acid batteries. They're more than enough to keep this continually running day to day, even in the shade. Over on the end here, we have our switch for the lights. This will be, if you have the main battery switch on, this will be lit up so when you come in at night you can find it, and you just tap it and it'll go on and off. But it also is a dimmer, so that if you're watching TV you can dim the lights. These are for, this first one is for the shower light, which is separate. The next two are for the two sub panels. Then you're going to have the refrigerator and the water pump. So below the main switching and apparatus is the lower part of the cabinet, which is the 3 batteries I had explained. 4 screws takes that front panel out, so if you ever had to change a battery or add some wires to it, everything is easy. Even the top of this shelf has a single screw to undo it, so you can get down into this to work on anything you need. Up on top we have a 24-inch smart TV with a DVD player. This is on a swing down mount, so when you're not using it. Okay, this comes over to our galley now. Bar sink, which I feel is deep enough, especially with the pull-out sprayer. That way you can get into a bigger pot if you're cleaning it or you're filling it. We have a 2-burner stove, power burner and a regular burner. There's all propane. There's a propane tank down underneath in a sealed compartment with a vent that goes through the bottom. Have a birch butcher block countertop, and we have ceramic tiles that are glued onto the wall, and instead of regular grout we use just a regular gray caulk, because that way it can flex and not break out. Also on this end is 2 of the 6 charging ports. You have one for USB and one for a regular cigarette lighter adapter. You have a separate light up underneath the sink and the stove, so while you're cooking you can see what you're doing. These are locking tabs here for the upper cabinet. Again, this is customizable to whatever your needs are. Have the propane carbon monoxide detector. Down below this cabinet is really a drawer for the compressor driven refrigerator. It's set at 32. It's got my food for the 4 or 5 days I'm out, and this runs whenever it wants with the solar system I have set up, and does not draw down the batteries. The cooktop sits in the top of the countertop, but it's accessible to your water pump and another outlet for the igniters on the stove. Up on the back of this cabinet is this false front, because there's an instant hot water heater mounted up here that goes to the sink and to the shower. I put the windows in the way I did to get the opening as far back in the trailer as I could, so that when you're running the fan, you're drawing as much air across everything as you need to. The shower is a 24 by 27 shower, done with the plastic reinforced fiberglass walls. Any of the wood around this is done in spar varnish, which is waterproof. It's meant for boats, so that the steam or any splashing is not going to hurt anything. The drain on this just goes through the floor. You have a Thetford Porta Potty, which this is the natural spot for because you have a curtain and it's out of the way. The shower wand is in here right now, but it also connects out back, so that if you wanted to rinse off your dog or sand off a surfboard or anything like that, it's usable indoors or outdoors. So now we'll go around the back, we'll open up the doors and see what we have. We have the double barn doors. And again, anything that's exposed to the outside is done with spar varnish, with spar polyurethane at this point. You have a quick connect for the shower. This can be brought right out here. You can stay in here, rinse off if you wanted to, or you could use it for if your dog just went through the mud, rinse off the dog. Behind this panel is a 5-pound propane tank with a vent through the floor. So, because propane's heavier than air, and that way any leakage, if there was, would just drop down into the outside. I put a 120 outlet here. That way you can just put your mixers up here, make your margaritas or your daiquiris, and you're all set. This is the instant hot water heater I was talking about. Does 3.5 gallons a minute. I have it vented to the outside, so it can be used with the door closed. I've already checked the temperatures and they're well within reason. I've added these tubes to the back, both as bumpers and as receivers for the stabilizers. Stabilizers on these trailers tend to get dragged off-road. And this way, all you need to do is slide it in, hit the tab on both sides, put a little pressure on the front jack, and you're stabilizing the trailer. It's no longer bouncing on the springs. The outside, this is the vent for the hot water heater. We have a freshwater fill, lockable, so nobody can tamper with it, to the 25-gallon tank that's on the inside. Again, you can see the bolts going through the sides on the brackets so that they don't penetrate the roof. I don't know if you can see it, but right under here is the muffler for the diesel system, the diesel hot heater. And the combustion air and exhaust never go into the trailer. They're completely external, so that there's no problem with carbon monoxide or fumes. Again, the 4 lights, one on each side. I mounted this for, it'll store the stabilizers as well as an exterior tank for the diesel heater. This is the pump and filter system, and it just goes basically tick, 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 and you barely hear it inside because I also have on the inside sound deadening mat. Regular tongue jack to a 2-inch ball. I mount the spare tire up high and as far back as I can so it's not in the way of the truck or the pulling vehicle, and it also doesn't drag on the ground. This is my 2012 F-150 with a 5-liter, and you can see it's all outfitted for going off-road or camping. I can store my extra gear in here, plus tools, whatever I might need, I think on a long haul. Fire extinguisher, place for my fishing rod, mat for the front so if it's muddy, and my firewood and leveling blocks. The truck also has a solar panel on top that runs a 120 inverter in the back so I can run tools off of it, and radios, transceivers, so when I'm off-road and there's no cell service, if something happens, because I'm not a young guy anymore, I can probably get a hold of somebody.
Vince, always a pleasure to have you on the channel. I love your creations, and so do our viewers. Your last video got a tremendous amount of views. People love that camper conversion. This is now one with a full shower inside of it. I'm sure people are going to love this one as well.
Everybody was asking if it had a shower, if it had heat, and if it had hot water. So in this one, I put all 3.
So you listened to your customers and
yes,
you built it that way.
If you keep the customers happy, they'll return.
And I see this one's for sale. Can you tell us a little bit about the sale?
Well, basically, everything is for sale. For the right price, everything is for sale. I'll use this until it does sell. It may be a month, it may be a week, it may be a year. And when that's done, I'll just build another one.
Well, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment, share, subscribe. I love it. We'll see you soon.
Take care, all.